of our early 2019 sessions is collaboration, and let's see how we can make some of those happen.
That's the other thing I like about when you and I talk about this, is that you have themes for each event. I like that.
Yeah, I think it gives, we want people to really get something from coming to the event, on top of meeting other great people. So there's always, some kind of focus, whether it's running a mini mastermind group where people can bring their challenges and get the group to help them, or whether it's around, a panel discussion on something like how to win clients. Lots of hot topics out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because there is the LinkedIn local network that I've seen, but it is very much, let's meet your LinkedIn network offline. And there isn't particularly a theme, and you're not supposed to talk about your business. It's supposed to be get together over coffee or a drink and just meet people and get to know your network offline. And I've looked at doing that, but it's a very different structure. I like the fact that, yes, you have something particular. And I think that probably attracts the independent consultants, because it's something that appeals to us, isn't it?
I think it does. And everybody's busy. And if you're going to give up your evening, and we do these in the evening, so that people who are, maybe they are working in a contract at the moment, they might not be able to get away during the day. And if you're busy, and you really value your time, and I value the time that people give up to come to something like this, really want to make sure that they know what they're going to gain from coming along.
And do you have any kind of community for those people online in between, or is it literally just the meetups in person?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group between times that's open to anybody that's an independent consultant in Oxford. So you don't need to come to the meetups to be part of that. Obviously, we I hope people will do, but particularly with a couple of months between meetups, it's really great to encourage people to continue the conversation between the meetups, and I think that will only grow.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit more about your own business, Lucy. What would you say have been the biggest challenges that you have seen over the past 8 years?
I think the biggest challenge for me is similar to some of the challenges that my clients have. So increasingly I work with kind of mid-career professionals, people who've probably got to quite a senior point in their corporate career. And when they leave, they've got all this experience behind them, and there are so many different ways they can help people. And that's something that happened to me. So, when I left, I knew I wanted to do something on my own. I knew I wanted to help a bigger number of people, but I had so many different ways I could help them. Because I worked in such a broad field. So, I could write for people, I could potentially do PR campaigns for people, I could help them decide what should go on their website. There were just so many different ways I could help people. I could work with different industries. And I went along to my first networking sessions, and I just called myself a freelance communications consultant. And I met loads of really lovely people, and a lot of those people have become my friends, and they've become my support network in business. But this was the thing that happened to me. Even though I had these marketing qualifications, I knew all about segmentation, I knew about having clear messages to people, because I think, well, this is probably a personality thing, isn't it? Fear of missing out. I knew I could work with lots of people, and I wanted variety. So I think my biggest challenge to start with was deciding exactly where my focus was going to go, and how I was really going to kind of niche down on what I was going to do.
It's so hard, isn't it? And because it's the same with me. There are so many different things that I can help people with, but if you are... Yesterday I was speaking at an event called Secrets to Success, and I said to the lady, it was all mainly ladies, a couple of men in the room, but mainly ladies from the health and beauty industries. And I said, if you're telling people that you can work with anybody from 18 to 65, your message is so broad that you're not really attracting anybody.
It's exactly it. So I think it's Seth Godin, isn't it, who said everybody is not your customer. And it's so true. If you try and appeal to everybody, you don't appeal to anyone. But I think it's hard to force it. And I think that's what I've learned is you do have to be brave, and you have to pick. But I guess I had the luxury of having a little bit of time to decide on that, because I was continuing to work with my corporate clients. And it's, for me, it's been a gradual evolution. And I think that's really important. I think, my experience has been, it's good to have a plan and a path, but it's also good to be a bit open as to exactly how you achieve that. And now it just seems so obvious to me that that I use all my marketing, communications, branding experience and my experience as an independent consultant myself to now work with other consultants who are going through those kind of challenges. And the thing that I find really interesting is that, I had always assumed that I would work with people that didn't have a marketing background. So I expected I'd be working with HR people, and finance people and legal people and, people that are executive coaches and consulting, CSR and all that kind of thing. But the thing that's really surprised me is that I've also worked with other marketers, because we're good at doing it for other people, but when it comes to doing it for yourself, it can be more challenging.
I know, it's so funny because I'm running a mastermind at the minute, and I am really encouraging my members on their pricing structure. And yet I had an email yesterday asking me about pricing some workshops. And, I had a wobble. I thought, how can you have a wobble, Louise, when you are literally telling your mastermind, here, you need to state your prices and stick with it. But it's really hard when you do it yourself.
It's really hard. And, I think you can, everybody can say, well, you can step back and, pretend you're coaching yourself or whatever, but that's really hard to do in the heat of the moment. I think that's why, those of us that kind of coach and mentor and kind of guide others, we need coaches or masterminds or whatever, every bit as much as the people we work with.
That's so true. And I learned that this year. That's definitely my biggest takeaway from 2018. Is that when you invest in your own training and you join masterminds and you join group coaching programs, that's when you actually start to grow, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I think so. And I think, that's what I always say. Of course, there's pros and cons to everything in life, and there's definitely pros and cons to running your own business. So, on the one hand, you have all that freedom that you dreamed of, and you don't have the boss kind of tapping on your shoulder and saying, have you done that yet? The flip side of that is you don't have the boss tapping on your shoulder saying, have you done that yet? You are the boss. And if you don't tap on your own shoulder and you're not good at that, you need to find somebody else who will kind of motivate and push you to do all the great stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, and I'm kind of laughing out loud here because I have a call with my coach this Friday and I haven't done the work that I'm supposed to have done. Hopefully by the time she hears this, it'll be done.
I'm sure it will. Deadlines. I find deadlines are a wonderful thing, especially if someone else set them with you. You agreed them with someone else.
Oh dear. So what would you say have been the biggest wins in having your business, Lucy? What are you proud of?
What am I most proud of? I'm really proud of the fact that, I've been going 8 years since I had a job. So for all those people who thought I was bonkers, I'm still going, and I think having survived that long, I'm not planning to go back and get a job anytime soon. What I'm really most proud of is helping people really, really do what I'm passionate about seeing happen, and that's seeing people just really step out from having to live someone else's brand where they've maybe left a bit of themselves at the door every day, even though they might have been wonderfully successful. It's just really seeing them flourish in a business where they can truly be themselves.
Yeah. I like that. That makes me feel a little bit sad. You leave a little bit of yourself at the door.
I think it's true though.
I'm not sure I ever did that in my jobs. It's just maybe where I didn't make up really matter.
I think, sometimes you work in a culture, if it doesn't quite match your personality, there's always a little bit that you maybe have to be a bit more serious or a bit more reserved or, whatever. Whereas when you run your own business, of course, you're still professional, but you can totally embrace your personality and use that to attract literally your ideal clients. So the people that you're going to do the best work with, the people that you're really going to enjoy working with, and they're going to enjoy working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of using online marketing and social media, what platforms do you prefer to use, Lucy?
So I find that my audience are generally on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And then I'm obviously really enjoying using Facebook, the Facebook group for our meetup. So for my independent consultants, I'm finding that Facebook is great for growing community. Yes. And Twitter is really great for just building those connections. I have very much because I'm sort of primarily an offline business at the moment, growing the online side of it. But I really like with LinkedIn and Twitter how I can really integrate my offline comms, i.e., meeting people face to face, and then using those channels to have conversations with people after events. And I find it works both ways. So, I'll go to a networking event where I've not met someone before and we realize we already know each other online. Or, we're like, I follow you. Yes, I remember you. Like, with some people. So I recently had a video call with somebody and we've literally been Twitter friends. I know that's not the lingo, but the official lingo, but we call it that. We've been kind of Twitter friends for I don't know how many years. And we're finally we really should fix up and have a call. So we did this and we just felt like we'd known each other forever, Yeah,
it's really funny because I do love Twitter a lot, but I find that a lot of my audience aren't necessarily on Twitter. So when we were at Newpreneur, it was lovely because everybody was using Twitter. And I thought that, it's quite fascinating to me because I feel that the people at that summit are my tribe. Not in terms of my audience. I don't think that they are necessarily my clients, but they're the people who are the most like me. So when I talk about Twitter in my workshops and I say, I just love Twitter, and people look at me and think, well, what's so great about Twitter? But this weekend it reinforced that for me. It is definitely where I make most connections with people who I feel are most like me. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think, the other thing that I love about Twitter is the shareability and how easy it is to share other people's content and for them to share yours. And, whilst I love Instagram, I think the shareability thing there is not so easy.
No, it's not. And I tell you what, I have a Samsung phone, Android. So I cannot, when you do an Instagram story, and if you have an iPhone, you can share that story with your audience really with one click. You can't do that on an Android.
Oh, they'll catch up one day.
Well, they need to catch up because at the event yesterday, I was in so many Instagram stories, I'm literally having to screenshot them.
Oh, how frustrating.
I know. I thought I'll have to use my iPad when I get home.
And then the moment's gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's not very Insta then, is it?
That's not very Insta. Latergram. There is a thing, isn't there?
There is one called Later, yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm kind of... this is something with LinkedIn for people I work with. I think, people tend to think about LinkedIn about it being about job search is how people initially thought about it. You kind of went on LinkedIn when you were looking for another job. Yeah. And people have tended to think, if I'm not employed in the corporate world anymore, maybe I don't need to be on LinkedIn. But I think for my sort of independent consultants, my professional community, I think LinkedIn is a great place to be. And I've recently sort of fallen back in love with it. Yes. And, for me, that's if you're using LinkedIn in a way where, you genuinely connect with people that you've worked with, or you've got something really in common with professionally, then for me, I think they're probably your most engaged audience.
Yeah. It's interesting because LinkedIn is, so all of my social media platforms, I see them all very differently. And LinkedIn is definitely where I get my corporate clients. It's where I get people who want to book me to come and work with their senior management team, or, you know, they want me to come work with them on one-to-one, but they're a professional. And Facebook's a completely different audience. So I tailor what I'm posting on those different platforms, but I certainly wouldn't